The following is a Hoop Ball presentation. Welcome to the Fantasy NBA Today podcast.
And then there were 9 days remaining in the 2018-2019 NBA campaign. And then there were 9. We are really at the tail end now. And it's crazy because I'll probably do this at the beginning of every show, winding down the season, excluding, of course, we don't have weekend shows, so we'll miss a couple of numbers in there. But 9 days left. Many of you with roto leagues rolling right now. Your playoff leagues are likely done. I know not all of you are done. I know you're out there. Don't worry. I'm aware of you. That's why we had the long streaming segment on yesterday's show. But this is a time where we start to turn our attention back to just guys that can be interesting down the stretch. Because, again, as discussed on yesterday's podcast, and if you missed yesterday's show, go back, listen to it. I went through a laundry list of topics for this last 10 days, now 9. And the overarching theme was you really don't want to use moves early in the week, maybe one, and save the rest of them for guys getting shut down, because it's going to happen every day. Someone's going to get shut down basically every single day. And something weird's going to happen basically every single day. And you want to be ready for all of that with moves available. So this is in the head-to-head format. If you're in Roto, you likely don't have a moves limit. You have a games cap, so you're trying to make sure you're using games for the right number. The one warning I issued on yesterday's show, and I'll put this same decree out today, is don't go into the last day of the year expecting to fill all 10 or however many roster slots you have in your league, because in all likelihood, half your guys just won't play. Dump all of your guys the day before. I don't care. Find young guys that are actually going. This is a time of year where you can just throw away your 3rd, 4th, 5th, 2nd, even 1st round picks. If they're not going to play, there's no spot for them on your team. There's nothing to look forward to. It's not like you can hold on to them and then deploy them the following week. We're 9 days left. So that's how we'll have an eye on that in basically everything we talk about over these last few days of the season. This is Fantasy NBA Today, a hoop ball presentation. I'm Dan Besbris. Big thank you again to Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. And I should mention, DFS contest for this week is up and running. Last week, I don't know what actually ended up happening last week. I think DraftKings decided Wednesday was too short of a card, so we skipped it. But this week we're back. DraftKings is back. We got the room open already. We sent the link out via tweet and email to anybody on our DFS mailing list. If you want to get on that, just holler at me. You know the rule. At Dan Besbris on Twitter. You can get yourself on the DFS mailing list. We're probably going to keep these things going through the playoffs because there's DFS throughout the NBA postseason. I'm guessing the rooms will be smaller then. I don't know. I don't know for sure. We'll figure it out on the fly a little bit. Frankly, DraftKings knows more about how all of this stuff works than we do at Hoob. And we'll kind of do what they tell us, what they think is best. Hey, you guys should slim the room down. All right, fine. Keep it big. I don't know. Whatever. 125 people in the room right now is the maximum. We're probably not going to hit it, which I know is a pessimistic outlook on life. But just based on the fact that this is a time of year where you guys, the fantasy enthusiasts, begin to dwindle a little. It's just the way it works. Many of you, your leagues are done, so you've moved on to other things in life. You're not listening to this podcast anymore. So I'm yelling into the void for you guys, and that means that you're not going to know about the link. You're not going to, I don't know, you're not going to get into the contest, but maybe you will. Maybe you'll surprise me. Maybe there are more folks out there doing DFS now that they're not worried about their head-to-head teams anymore. So that link is available. Again, big thanks to Hawaiian Isles Kona Coffee Company. HawaiianIsles.com at HI Kona Coffee on Twitter, or search for Hawaiian Isles on Amazon.com. You can get that stuff sent to your doorstep. Prime. Amazon Prime. The best thing ever. Best and worst thing ever. The reason I give a doubly large thank you to Hawaiian Isles today is because, of course, we mentioned the DFS contest. We'll talk about that tomorrow with the great Mike Apotria. Second place always takes home that coffee goodie bag from Hawaiian Isles. I haven't gotten first or second place, and frankly, I haven't gotten that close. I think 10th was my best effort. I've won money twice the entire season, and it's been just enough to float my DFS account to keep playing in these contests. Based on the last few weeks, I'm guessing of the 125 slots, we'll probably fill about 80 to 100, which means you have a really nice chance to win, which means you should join because there's $375 in prizes regardless of how many people are in the contest. Shh, don't tell DraftKings. They're putting up this thing. There's no draw for DraftKings, so every slot is accounted for with prize money. Meaning if you're even half decent at DFS, this is the best odds you can find out there. All of the contests that you're signing up for through the main DraftKings lobbies are worse because there's a draw, and they're probably filled, or mostly filled, outside of, the 30, 40,000 people ones. This is 125 people that's going to be just shy of being full, which means you have a better than expected chance. The ROI is very good. It's $3 to join the contest. You guys know the deal. Come on, come play with us. Come play with me and beat me, most likely, at DFS. So that'll be tomorrow. Just wanted to bring that up because the link is out. You can go find it at Hoopball Fantasy. I'll be retweeting it. I'll probably send it out myself as well. Half-size Tuesday, so we'll get right into the Monday card, obviously with an eye on streaming and also an eye on guys that you can just deploy the rest of the way, regardless of their schedule. We'll take a look at the Tuesday card, a little bit shorter. Yesterday was a pretty big one, 9-game Monday. And we're starting to see some of these weird names shake out. A couple of them. Not all of them yet, but here and there, they're surfacing. Detroit, Indiana. No Luke Kennard, no Blake Griffin. Obviously, that's the bigger news. Detroit, they're in a weird spot because seemingly they're in the playoffs, but it's not as obvious as it might appear. They're only a game and a half up on the Magic. Orlando's the 9 seed. Pistons are the 6 seed. They're in a fairly enviable spot because right now they're dodging the Bucks and the Raptors, but they can't afford to lose a bunch of games here down the stretch. Orlando's still fighting. The Hornets are still fighting. We'll talk about Kemba Walker a little bit later. They will soon most likely be mathematically eliminated, and then we've got an eye on a guy with that team, but it hasn't happened yet. And then everybody below the Hornets has been wiped out. But we digress. Indiana with the victory. They did it without Wesley Matthews and without Darren Collison. Miles Turner at 8 defensive stats. He really locked himself into a high draft position next year. Bojan Bogdanovic continues to play well, especially with people down. Domantas Sabonis. Tyreek Evans, Corey Joseph moved into the starting lineup and were largely uninspiring. And you're not going to make any moves on this team. So I don't even know why I'm wasting time with it. Detroit, no Blake Griffin, so Thon Maker played 41.5 minutes. If Blake has to miss any more time, you know where to go. Our guy, Wayne Ellington, 26 points, 4 3-pointers, a block in this game, 4 boards and 2 assists. He actually did a couple of things in the non-3-pointer department for once. And I don't know how many other guys you trust. Reggie Jackson seems to have re-grabbed the point guard minutes from Ish Smith, who was starting to take a few away from him, but maybe not so much. And so Detroit goes back to being fairly boring. Orlando getting wiped out in Toronto. Raptors trying to get themselves tuned up for playoff time. Danny Green, big ball game. He's been coming on down the stretch. 2 steals, 3 blocks, 7 3-pointers. That's 12 cash counters in one ball game. This is the prototypical Danny Green moment because you sit on him all season long. All season long, you're just staring at him like, when is this guy going to do something? How does he constantly end up with value inside the top 100? I don't get it. Well, this is why. Because every once in a while, he just goes buck wild for a night and boosts his season numbers. It's why you can't really just roll him out there every once in a while. It's got to be all or nothing with Danny. And then when everything is all said and done, he's number 91. Number 91 in 9-cat. That's not bad. He's averaging a steal, 0.6 blocks, 2.5 3-pointers, just 1 turnover a game. He's shooting among his career highs, 46.6% from the field this season. Really good number there. Low field goal attempts. I thought maybe that number might come back up a little bit this season, but his minutes have kind of wavered a tad as Toronto's gone into keep their guys healthy mode. But still, one of his best seasons maybe ever, certainly in a while. And the only hope, I guess, was that if he got another 1 to 1.5 shots per game, he could climb back up there with his Mondo season But the blocking just never quite came around this year. The shot blocking sort of wasn't there. But still, here we are. End of the year, he's inside the top 100. So he ended up being a really nice value. And Toronto had a field day in this ballgame. Kyle Lowry had a good line. Freddie VanVleet played well. Kawhi Leonard was okay, but not great. Marc Gasol was same. The only guy that wasn't great in this one was Pascal Siakam, kind of a weird twist. On the Orlando side, Jonathan Isaac was kind of the only bright spot. He had 8 cash counters, and he's going to be a favorable draft pick next year as well. Vooch, slow game. Aaron Gordon, well, not great. And Evan Fournier scored 21 with a relatively empty stat line. He's one of the only, and I put him in the old man squad just because he plays like a member of the old man squad. He's one of the very few Dan Besbris old man squad guys this year that really didn't live up to expectations. We took him probably around 100, and his 9-cat numbers just weren't good. He couldn't shoot the ball this year. I don't know what happened. He's way under his career mark. He's way under where he's been the last, 2 of the last 3 years. He's shot up around 46%. And this year it faded. He wasn't the same guy. I don't know what happened. Anyways, he's been a disappointment. Milwaukee in Brooklyn, they were still resting some of their guys. Chris Middleton, Ersan Ilyasova sat this one out. And Eric Bledsoe went huge, 29, 5, and 7. He had 10 cash counters. A lot of these guys going big in the cash counting department. Brook Lopez played well. Pat Connaughton. When one guy is out, he has a really obvious opportunity because there's so many other dudes already out. Malcolm Brogdon is down for an extended stretch. Niko Mirotic is down for an extended stretch. So there's already 2 guys out long-term. And then, you wipe out a Middleton, that someone has to step in, and it's probably going to be Connaughton, but you got to be ready for all these guys to just come back and play and wipe out your guy. So, again, this is more of an eye on 9-cat roto leagues, what you can do the rest of the way, because as I said, I don't want you making any moves right now in their head-to-head format unless somebody is getting ruled out for the year for you. On the Brooklyn side, they scored 121 points, so you figure there was probably some fantasy stuff, but everybody kind of had a weird ding on their fantasy line. D'Angelo Russell had 28 and 10, but he shot 9 for 27 from the field and committed 6 turnovers. Karis LeVert had 24, 4, and 6 with 4 3-pointers, but no steals or blocks. And on a busy night, that's enough to sort of knock you out of the awesome crew. Ed Davis had 14 rebounds and 2 blocks. I guess that was actually okay. Joe Harris also had a pretty good efficiency game. But everybody else had a problem. Jared Allen missed some free throws and some turnovers. Spencer Dinwiddie just had a quiet game. Brooklyn's been a little bit of a mess since they got healthy, fantasy-wise. Miami loses in Boston, but not for lack of effort. Goran Dragic had 30 in this one. 5 assists, 5 steals as well. With no Justice Winslow and no Josh Richardson, other guys need to do more. Bam Adebayo, double-double with a couple of blocks. Kelly Olynyk played well. He had 14 and 6 with 2 steals and a block. D. Wade, 17, 5, and 7. Miami finally has some clarity because 2/3 of the team is injured. And I'm wondering, I got to think that Winslow and Richardson get back soon if possible. They don't have the wiggle room to dick around right now. Miami is the 8th seed, and they're a half game up on the Magic. If Orlando would have won last night, Miami would have fallen out of the playoffs. So I got to think those guys are coming back soon if they can. Boston got a triple-double from Al Horford. He's well-rested right now. And then, of course, you got too many mouths to feed. That's the rest of the story out there. Chicago in New York lost to the Knicks. Whoops. Or good? I don't know. Depends what angle you wanted with this one. Chicago has gone into full tank mode. There's just no recognizable names left on this team. I'm going to read you the names of every single player that got into this ball game, and I'm betting you'll recognize 4 of them. Robin Lopez. Okay, we know that one. Timothé Luwawu-Cabarrot. You probably know that one because at some point he was a 76er. Ryan Arcidiacono, who only played, by the way, 17 minutes off the bench. He's one of the Bulls' most recognizable names. Shaq Harrison, we know that name. Wayne Selden, you've probably heard of that guy. And then there's, the return of Jakar Sampson. You've heard the name, but you bet you didn't know he was playing right now. Walt Lemon, You only know that name because this is his second NBA game ever. Brandon Sampson, who? Raul Alkins, he played 1:30. Cristiano Felicio, okay, as you've heard of it. Antonio Blakeney, fine, maybe. I mean, this is the real mod squad out here. There's nothing left. Decimated by injuries. No Lauri Markkanen. No Zach LaVine. No Chris Dunn. The list goes on and on. Which, of course, means there's probably something there. I think Shaq Harrison should be owned. I think he's going to be good the rest of the season. Not going to hit any three-pointers, but, if you want a Chris Dunn light. I think Walt Lemon should be owned. I know his percentages have looked terrible in his game so far, but I think he should be owned. He's playing 30 minutes a game, and he's basically like a point forward on that team. I don't know about Jakar Sampson. I'm not buying into that one yet. Robin Lopez, yeah, he seems like a safe bet. Well, let's keep a close watch on Chicago. This could be a team that has somebody pop up as a really interesting 9-cat guy. Luke Cornett is a really interesting 9-cat guy as long as DeAndre Jordan is not playing. And I don't know what's going on there. He could resurface at any moment, but as long as he's out, Cornett's starting and he's playing good minutes. And they are really thin right now. New York had an 8-man rotation in this game. Cornett, Dotson, Robinson, Kadeem Allen, who hurt himself. So they actually went down to mostly 7, dunked his head. Kevin Knox played 40 minutes. Dotson played 41. Lance Thomas played 31 minutes. Moutier, 36. Someone named John Jenkins played 20 minutes. I don't know who the hell these guys are. Lonzo Trier sat this one out. He's the one guy that could maybe come back alongside DeAndre Jordan. Obviously, Mitchell Robinson is a go. And in 40 minutes a game, I could even make the argument that a guy like Kevin Knox might be a go. And certainly not all of the matchups are going to be as favorable as the Chicago Bulls. But almost anybody playing 40 minutes a game is worth a look. Stat set-wise, Cornett is the guy right behind Robinson because he'll hit the 3 and block shots, and that's that unique and awesome combination, but you're probably chasing categories right now anyway. And so, if you need points and rebounds, Kevin Knox would be useful. If you need points and some assists, maybe some threes, that's Moutier. You just have to be okay with the terrible percentages that come with it. Damian Dotson, kind of likewise. Similar issues. Portland got a triple-double out of Evan Turner, and if you think that's happening again in their next ball game, well, put a bet on it, because you'd probably win a ton of money if it happened. Rodney Hood had 21, and his Cantor double-doubled with 4 blocks. That might be the total he has all of next year. Seth Curry had 19 off the bench. Aminu, 9 and 6 with a 1-1-1. And amazingly, they just didn't even really need Damian Lillard in this game. He had 15 points. That's it. 12 assists. He was quiet. And Mo Harkless, 2 steals, 2 blocks again. He's looking like kind of an interesting fantasy player. This is a game with goofy numbers. Portland was up bigger than the final score would indicate. Cantor is an obvious go. Seth Curry's a go. Aminu's a go. Harkless is a go. Lillard's a go. Collins is questionable. He's like a Cornette-style player, 3s and blocks, but you'd almost rather have a guy on a team like the Knicks where they just do whatever the hell they want, as opposed to Portland where you're not supposed to just chuck a 3. It's got to be a good shot. You don't have that problem in New York. Doesn't have to be a good shot. A shot's a shot. Your team's terrible. Whatever you're doing, it doesn't matter. Minnesota put up a $122. Karl Anthony Towns looks like he's really tiring at the end of the year. I know he wants to play in every ball game, but he looks like a man who could use a breather. Tyus Jones double-doubled, 14 points, 10 assists. He had 3 steals. He's a fairly safe play down the stretch. Josh Okogie should be, although he'll be a bit inconsistent. Wiggins, too, I guess. So those are your 4 guys out there. Philadelphia was without Joel Embiid and Jimmy Butler. This was basically just a throwaway game for them. Philly's locked into the 3 seed in the Eastern Conference. There's nobody near them. They can do whatever the hell they want down the stretch, and there's nothing that's going to matter. So I think you're going to see guys resting every single game. Dallas, who got themselves a nice accidental win, is now tied with the Grizzlies at 31 and 46. Grizzlies want to win. Dallas doesn't, and yet here we are. I was going to change the complexion of the Western race to the bottom very much. But Dallas got a win, and Luka Doncic remains doubtful for the next ballgame. Jalen Brunson started, only played 19 minutes in this thing. Trey Burke played 29 off the bench, and that now is looking like a timeshare. Justin Jackson scored 24 points in 30 minutes. Maxi Kleba, he looked good. Dwight Powell looked good, but they've really gone into a wild tank mode in Dallas. The guys I'm trusting out there are Powell, Kleba, and probably Brunson while Doncic is out. And then if we see Trey Burke just sort of take over, then I guess you could flip on that one. We'll keep an eye on Doncic, though. Maybe he'll play again this year. I honestly just don't know. Charlotte, 47 points out of Kemba Walker. Apparently the rest of the starters scored a grand total of 6. Jeremy Lamb turned his ankle in this ballgame, but he did score 23 points. This team looks like they're getting ready to shut her down, but we might see another game with the actual regular dudes in it. After that, the guy I'm watching is Devontae Graham. And I know to point that out on a game where he went 0 for 7 with 2 rebounds, 6 assists, and a steal is a weird time to do it, but he's the logical point guard if they shut Kemba Walker down. So you might have like 2 or 3 games where Graham plays 36 minutes, runs the offense, and puts up some fatty popcorn lines. The other young guys that should take a step forward when the old dudes get shut down, Miles Bridges, who's been pretty inconsistent as a starter, but decent enough most nights. You might see Malik Monk take a whole bunch of 3-pointers if that's what you're looking for. You might see Willie Hernan-Gomez see his minutes ramp up to 24 or 25, and then he's a walking double-double at that point. And I think the guys you see phased out would be Walker, Lamb, Michael Kidd-Gilchrist, Marvin Williams, Bismack Biyombo, and maybe you see some more Dwayne Bacon. I don't know, though. He played 5 minutes in this game after he'd been kind of trending up a little bit. So they're going to get a look at the young guys. It's coming soon. Jay Crowder had a quad issue. He left in the fourth quarter. He joined Kyle Korver and Derek Favors out in this ball game at the end for him. And so we ended up getting 23 minutes of Thabo Cephalosha. I'm guessing one of those 3 guys is going to be back in the next one, but I just don't know. And then otherwise for Utah, things are pretty straightforward. So the one situation you're monitoring is, will Cephalosha actually see 25 minutes in a ball game? I'm not using a move on that dude, regardless of format. Even if I could just punt on him, it's not worth it. Joe Ingles, this strong second half continues. He's really pushed his way back into the conversation. He was having a rough year, hovering in that 120, 130 range, and then all of a sudden, second half Joe Ingles, just like last year, he got really good late. A top 75 guy for a while now, after the 125, 130 run. Cleveland and Phoenix. Cleveland's terrible. Phoenix is also terrible, but they actually look better, surprise, surprise, with Richaun Holmes in the starting lineup. Richaun had 13 and 10 with a couple of blocks. He ended up with 5 fouls, and that kind of screwed up the entirety of his evening. With DeAndre Ayton expected to miss a few more ball games, Richaun Holmes is a fantastic fantasy asset, at least in the short term. Josh Jackson had a big game. He'll do that every once in a while when his percentages don't ruin things. Mikal Bridges looked better, a little bit more involved. He's still very much a low-usage guy. Jamal Crawford is playing 30 minutes a game right now. I don't fully understand it. I think they're just letting the old man run. And I guess you could go with it. I mean, he's been passing. He'll get you points, assists, some threes, not much else. Probably going to hurt you at the field goal percentage mark. And he's historically one of the best free throw shooters. It doesn't get to the line as much now as he used to. But it's a weird kind of a maybe guy that you never thought you'd see on a list, but he could sort of get onto the end of your list. Kevin Love might be done. I don't know. He said he wants to play games down the stretch, so it's possible he tries to jam himself back in for a game or two. But as long as he's even the tiniest bit dinged up, Larry Nance Jr. is going to be huge down the stretch. And that's the one guy you can actually trust on that Cleveland side. And that is your rather large Monday evening. Quick look here at Tuesday, and then we'll get into the wrap-up portion of the proceedings. Lakers are in Oklahoma City. Lakers are a little bit unpredictable right now. Their last ball game, you got the big numbers from Rajon Rondo, Alex Caruso, who Brewski mentioned on Friday's show, and obviously he's been sort of hit and miss a little for the Lakers lately. I think he's in line for a really nice finish now. I'm officially on the Caruso bandwagon. Just watching him play, he has more energy and more effort than almost anybody else on the team. The game against New Orleans skews things. There's no question about it. Kuzma was out, and New Orleans plays no defense at all. How many of these guys can keep it up playing a team that might try a little bit? And that's not to say that the Lakers are going to only play teams that try. The Lakers I trust right now are Rajon Rondo, Alex Caruso, JaVale McGee, Kentavious Caldwell-Pope, and Kyle Kuzma. I've got 5 names on my list. Things could change, though. If Reggie Bullock pushes his way into more minutes, he could get onto the list. He could potentially shove KCP off to the side a little. Lance Stevenson had a bad game, and that led to more opportunity for Alex Caruso. Those 2 guys could end up kind of butting heads a little bit. Even Rondo might dial it down a little bit. But right now, the names I mentioned, Rondo, Caruso, McGee, KCP, and Kuzma, if healthy, are the guys that I think I'd trot out there for the Lakers. But keep a very close eye on this team. There are opportunities, and some of these guys are not owned in your league. Oklahoma City, nothing there. Russell Westbrook had his technical rescinded, so he's not going to be suspended for this ball game, and otherwise they're pretty predictable. Atlanta, with Dwayne Dedmon shut down, you're going to get a whole lot of opportunity for Alex Len. You got to know what you want, though. It's got to be points, rebounds, a couple of blocks, and he's probably going to hurt you in the percentages. San Antonio, nothing special there. Houston, nothing special there. Sacramento, it sounds like Marvin Bagley is questionable for this game with a stomach illness. No, it sounds like he's been upgraded to probable, so he's probably going to go. So that means things go back to kind of normal in Sacramento. Denver, same thing. Warriors, same thing. So there just isn't a whole lot on this short Tuesday card for all of us to keep a close watch on. Mostly the Lakers. The teams that you're watching are the teams where guys are getting shut down. Lakers, Hawks, I guess, but Spurs, Thunder, Rockets, Kings are still playing like they've got something to play for. Nuggets, Warriors, these are all playoff teams. These are all teams jockeying for position in the Western Conference. By the way, heavily Western Conference day, isn't it? Atlanta, of the 8 teams playing, I believe, is the only Eastern Conference team going tonight. That's kind of weird. There will probably be more of them tomorrow. Such is the goofiness of a long season. All right, don't use any moves unless your guys are injured and ruled out for the year. That's the rule for today if you're in a head-to-head streaming thing. 9Cat, like I said, keep an eye on these teams where guys are getting shut down. I don't think there's any advantage to really stashing someone for 3 or 4 days because you just don't know if or when anything's going to happen. But as I mentioned, there are a couple of guys that I've got my eyes on. Or guys you just want to roll with. I mean, it's such a weird time of year. You're stat hunting. Take a chance right now if you're using up games cap stuff. Too many guys are missing time, right? I was slated to, I'm sure you guys are experiencing the same thing. You're slated to finish like 5 to 10 games over the games cap, and then all of a sudden over the last couple of weeks, guys just disappear, and then you're slated to finish 5 to 10 games under the games cap. So make sure to get healthy dudes into your lineup. Don't go into that last day needing 8 to 10 guys to play because you might not get it. All right, let's put a pin in this bad boy until tomorrow. We'll talk to Mike Apotrio. We'll get the DFS stuff going on tomorrow's show. We'll obviously check on any weirdness, mostly from the Lakers and Hawks. Find out how Mike's teams did. Hopefully he's got some trophies on his shelves. And we'll keep stat hunting, everybody. Thanks for listening, folks, every day, all season long. Remember, we continue through the offseason 5 days a week, just the same. You'll also have an opportunity to hear some other voices, perhaps, if you hadn't already. Our wonderful, wonderful guys over on the Box Score Breakdown, Neil Rochlani, Adrian Benjamins. They'll be coming over to do shows here for Fantasy NBA Today. We got a new voice who was in on the premium side. The great Brandon Marcus will be joining the fray. He'll be helping out with some Fantasy NBA Today shows, and we may have a special surprise in the mix, a brand new show that will probably come out about halfway through the offseason. 2 of Hoopball's favorites are working on that right now, so that's a really cool thing we've got going on behind the scenes, too. So don't unsubscribe, folks. Not that you would anyway, I guess, but shows will keep coming even after next Wednesday. But let's get there first. Let's see if we can win some money in our Roto Leagues. We'll do that by finding the diamonds in the rough here over the last 9 days of the regular season. Folks, this is, again, Fantasy NBA Today, a Hoopball presentation. If you like what you've heard all season long, please take 90 seconds to drop us a 5-star rating over on whatever service you are using to listen to the show. And with that, I bid you adieu. That's it. That's the Tuesday show. We'll get back at you tomorrow morning. Again, Mike Apotrio on the show. I am Dan Besbris, at Dan Besbris on Twitter. Hit me up if you want to come work at the Hoob. We're always looking for good people. I will talk to you tomorrow. So long, everybody.
This has been a Hoop Ball presentation.